Thank you. It's good to be back. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. I'm really happy to be here. There's no better book than the Bible to make the point of focusing on yourself and your own flaws rather than others. And it may not be stated explicitly in that package, but while we're judging other people based on what we see, they're also judging us based on what they see or don't see in us. And I recently heard this story, which I thought was really interesting. It sort of brought the point home about this couple who lived in a house next to a house that was vacant. And I have to think this is in Brooklyn, New York, because here the houses are really far away from each other. But in Brooklyn, New York, you could see your neighbor's house. So this house was vacant for many, many years, and all of a sudden a new neighbor moved in. And so the wife looked out the second day and she saw the neighbor putting clothes on the line. And she said, man, those clothes look a bit dingy. I wonder where she learned to clean. So the next day she put out some quilts and says, well, those reds aren't really red and the blues aren't really blue and still looks pretty dingy. Another day goes by and they hung out some white clothes, and like, that is definitely not white. I don't even know if she uses Clorox. I mean, you could just see that they weren't really clean. Well, guess what? She comes on Sunday afternoon, she looks out, and all of a sudden she's like, wow, what a difference. Someone actually probably taught her how to clean the clothes, because I could really see them clearly. And then her husband spoke up and says, I think I know what happened. She says, what? She said, well, yesterday morning I cleaned the outside of our windows. Just that she heard a hello and she saw her neighbor waving. She said, how you doing? I was wondering if anyone lived there. I couldn't really see yesterday if there was anyone in there. But now that you've cleaned your windows. So my point is that there's so many things that we are simply session about. Sorry, first time I've used that word. And you know, one of the things is just to be aware of how little awareness that we actually have. That awareness itself is a thing. And it's very easy to unwillingly or unknowingly take like a godlike view of our abilities to be aware. I try to take the perspective that I know basically almost nothing, because what you know initially when you meet someone, and then the next minute, and you know, I do Uber, and the first time a person gets, I mean, it changes, right? You see a person comes up on your Uber thing, you go, okay, I'll take them, because you don't have to. Then they get in your car, and by the time 10 minutes has gone by and you've talked to them, you're like, wow, it's a completely different impression I had before I touched your face and said, yes, I'll pick you up. So I find that awareness is something that is constantly expanded. One thing I did with one of my teenagers who has a very dirty room is I went in there and said, please pick up all the things. And he says, it's done. And I came back in and I looked, it's like, how in the world do you think this is done? Seriously. I'm like, I can't even believe this. So I took a picture of my cell phone and I said, come, look at this picture. And he says, oh yeah. And then he went back and cleaned up again. And I came back in like, I think I need to take another picture. And I took another picture. And you know, there's something that happens if you go home, and none of you look like you have messy rooms or maybe even teenagers, but if you do, take a picture of a room. Put it on your computer screen, blow it up. You'll see all sorts of things that your mind has just filtered out because you live there all the time. You'll see it for the first time the way someone else who doesn't have your mental filter. And I saw a quote yesterday which sort of segues into this. If you knew the choices I had, your opinion of what I choose might be different. I once actually dated a doctor, believe it or not. And she said, you know what, I think I can make it to service today. It's been 5 weeks, I've had all these critical issues. I think I'm actually gonna make it today, but I'll have to leave early so I can still make my shift. And my heart sank because I thought of all the times that I saw people leave church service early, and I was like, just because the pastor finished preaching doesn't mean it's over. But again, what was my awareness? I didn't know if maybe they hadn't been for weeks and weeks and weeks because they simply couldn't. And today they said, I'm going to make it. Even if it means I have to leave early, I'm going to make it. So it's always good to, well, the moral of the story, before this goes on too long, is that always judge your ability to perceive before you judge another person. Thank you very much.